Feature Friday.
The freshest.
So little did I know, he's actually visually impaired. So
Malone.
Carl
yeah.
Malone is blind, and I mean he's been blessed with a voice and a half. So very impressive.
It was actually quite shocking when I read it on the comments.
I thought it was just vibing.
Yeah, I really, I obviously I couldn't tell. I was like, whoa. But the voice is a God-given gift. It really is.
This is I'll Never Go.
Yeah, live on Wish.
I'll Never Go Nexxus. Is that the original singers?
I think
I actually don't
it might
recognize
have
the
been-
title of this
Me
song.
neither.
Maybe I recognize the melody. Go on.
Let's have a look.
But it's interesting to see him now in an environment
That is so controlled, yeah. I mean,
You would always ask me those words I say. I'm telling me what it means to me.
oh my God, I mean, the accuracy is just crazy, crazy, crazy. We don't talk about how delicate the accuracy needs to be in songs like this. But let me highlight it for you right now. It's dope. And it's so necessary.
Yeah. Then he died.
075. Every single day, you always act this way.
Yeah, fucking hell, his accuracy is a
Oh,
joke.
how many times I've told you I love you, for this is all I know.
Oh my God, ridiculous.
Come to me and hold me.
Ooh,
Right, very
diction,
peculiar.
diction.
So,
Also, diction's
I
fantastic.
was about to say from the beginning, perhaps not a crazy idea to go into a sort of more theatrical, what would you call it? More
Approach of singing?
as a career as well. Maybe that it may not be a bad idea to sort of try and experiment in that side, right? Because he seems to have that kind of what would you call it? Not
Vocal texture
Yeah.
for voiceovers.
for that to be exploited in that way.
I absolutely agree. I think he's got the potential for perfect voiceovers of songs and like musical caricature stuff.
Yeah, animations.
Like, animation. The sound is so refreshing. It's so young. It's so very accurate, highly melodic, and I mean, it's a treat to work with a voice like this
That's
in
gifted
studio
voice, yeah.
because it's like one shot, one take, go. You like there's really no room for error, and when you have singers that are this naturally talented, it's a great atmosphere to take advantage of that stuff.
Oh, because you nailed it. He's naturally talented, right?
Yeah.
Very, very peculiar. Go on.
Very, yeah.
Peculiar.
Yeah,
Unique,
indeed.
Outstanding.
Absolutely.
An anomaly.
A gold buzzer.
An anomaly amongst another anomalies.
That's right.
See the love again, for you still hold it here.
I mean, come on.
Every single day, you always act this way. For how many times I told you I love you?
Choice of song.
Oh, this is all I know. I'll never go far away from you. Even this sky will tell you that I need you so.
Oh, nice.
For this is all I know. I'll never go. Even this sky will tell you.
So that's all through pure emulation.
Even the technique that obviously he's not emulating visual technique, so he's emulating sound, right? So what we're getting here, it's how do I position myself for the best?
How does it feel, right? It's
Exactly,
more
how-
sort of kinesthetic.
Basically, I find myself sometimes taking away a lot of other stimuli in order to feel the song itself. And right here you get a very obvious work through body
Through
in the
feel,
sing,
yeah.
through the body itself, through the song. And it's I got stuck, okay. But it's really interesting because the elongation on the pullback is a natural instinct. And I was always taught to believe that it was the pulling forward that was the natural instinct. But here, maybe through a lot of rehearsals, through a lot of practice, he's discovered that the further back you go, the higher you try to reach through the back, the more you can access instead of creating more tension. It's really interesting. I mean, his vocal tonality is spotless. There's huge melody and fantastic modulation in the higher range of his song, and also great management of those lower range low basses in his
Which
range
actually,
too.
to some extent, seem to be taught, right? But
They're not. Yeah, which is it's wild to me. I mean,
that's probably the easiest way to tell a seasoned singer or a taught singer.
that's right.
Lower range work, not higher range work, because that seems to be. I guess you
It's
can't.
more impressive.
You don't master it, but you can get to a good level of it. And most crowds are very highly impressionable as well. So sort of like, because most people don't know
how to do that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So fair enough, but
But
and then,
on the lower range, there's no cheat code. You
No,
either
and
have
also
to
it's-
put in the work or you don't.
and it also doesn't impress as much, right?
Yeah.
It only impress music heads or impress people that genuinely know about singing. So it's very
It
peculiar.
impresses me.
Yeah, but because it's also very difficult. And what's very interesting here is, again, another proves my point even further. I think of the magic that there is in just practicing the right things. With him, it's very peculiar because it seems
Practicing
obviously.
the right things that feel right, that
Yes.
that sound right.
So that's also another lesson
It's-
for other people.
Absolutely.
It's
Strip
very impressive.
back to basics. Feeling it's so important. I mean, oh
You
my
sound an
god,
individual to learn from.
it's such an inspiring video though. Like you get to see so much in his delivery.
The interesting thing is, it's an inspiring video, not so much for the obvious. Like, maybe he's visually impaired, so maybe, like, he can't read lyrics. He has to maybe hear him, and then his memory that may be also beneficial. Maybe you learn better by listening things. I
Yeah.
don't know. But it's very inspiring because he's managed to utilize a new form of developing vocal techniques.
Based on a physical practice.
That and that's really hard, man. Like,
it is.
even in sport, especially in tennis, obviously that's kind of where I feel I'll be able to explain it the best. But the hardest thing to develop is touch and feel.
What we call modulation in singing.
Feedback, right?
Yeah.
And how did that feel? Where was that shot? Where did it land? How did it feel? What vibrated? What didn't? How can I take less? How can I create more by
That's
doing
right.
very little? How can I that sort of idea of less is more, less effort, more exertion of
effective,
power,
yeah.
efficiency. That's all touch and feel, understanding. Like the rack is like an extra arm, and that takes a while to learn. Hence why that's, in my opinion, that's probably why you want to get children involved really early on. Same with singing, same with instruments, actually, in the drums or in timbales, congas, especially
Anything that's really
touch based. So
yeah.
cajon, congas, it's the same thing. That type
Piano.
of feedback is different.
Yeah.
The piano, I don't know. The piano, I wouldn't know that much because
Well, you learned on.
maybe not at the level I got to, but it's different. The feel. But with instruments, it's so hands-on. It's very different. It's very different.
It's very instinct driven as well, I find. And I find that's what's interesting here, that it's very, well, we're seeing it's a very instinctive performance
So
that is actually so clearly accurate.
So that's why that whole thing of you want to start them on young comes from, because to develop this takes years. This sort of touch and feel and comfort. So that's the bit that
second
takes years.
nature stuff. Yeah.
But you can get really good later
any
on as
time,
well.
yeah,
but
at any time.
if you can get a kid to understand that really early on, you're basically making their journey 10 times easier.
I agree.
But certainly still possible at any age. I wonder how old he is here though.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all I know. I'll never go far away from here.
Is that him in the track as well? The second voices?
I don't know.
On Wish.
They sounded like female voices, but hard to tell. Can I just go back to
Yes,
that
please.
break over here?
Oh, this is all I know. I'll never go.
Yeah.
See, so much refinery in the technique. The sky was really far back. Oh, fantastic! It's beautiful.
Yes, female voices.
You see the modulation
Control,
so
yeah.
very clear.
That's wonderful.
It's
very
brilliant. It is so freaking
impressive.
fantastic.
I think, I mean, it's kind of hard, isn't it? Because now my sort of expectations of performances, especially on the Wish bus, are sort of getting higher and higher and higher, right? And I think essentially you always want to try and go in there without expectations.
That's
because
right.
you might actually withhold yourself from experiencing magic. But bloody hell, when you get the Philippines is a really peculiar place.
Yeah.
It's a really, really interesting place
It's a
because
really God-given place. It's like
I think that probably the best way to explain it is think about singing as a discipline like sport, right? And imagine you find a already refined Lionel Messi somewhere.
yeah.
Like that makes no. You imagine you get a Rafael Nadal out of somewhere that could achieve the same results.
That's right.
What the? It makes no sense.
It doesn't.
Like it's crazy. That's why it's so peculiar, and perhaps that's why the Philippines is sort of called the land of the singers, because it's very, obviously very gifted. I don't know what God did when He was creating that.
He was
part,
like, the Philippines have the singing.
maybe the pot tilt
have
over.
the voice. Yeah,
like,
it's like,
sing it out.
"Wah!" Oh crap.
A bit crazy. It's really,
It
really
is.
peculiar.
I mean, it's fantastic. I am absolutely baffled by
Carl Malone.
everything. Yeah, everything in this performance. Let us know more about him. What is he up to next? If there's more music out there, let us know.